Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Railway Empire 2, the week after my voice problems. Actually, I still have them, so every once in a while I will mute and cough and things like that. So, what I've been doing just a few minutes before we actually started is adjusting the trade routes on my first train to Milan, and I moved or removed some of the stations. It's currently still in Fiorentina, so it will probably be completely messed up right now. But we'll see about that. But I replaced Fiorentina for Torino. I replaced D'Amico Rest for Gali Rest. And for now, that's it. I still need to find a good spot for sugar, so I can take that away because of this problem. It's something I need to have to look at. I could, for instance, use Esposito as a split to Sera, but it also means another tunnel and whatever, so we'll see. It's an option. I have the goal of having at least 20 million before we start doing anything. So with that in mind, this one is in Fiorentina, which will change. That one was on its way to D'Amico and probably will going somewhere else. And that one is increasing distance, which is quite nice because um, that means it's probably the first one going on the right trip. Now I have a building option in Florence, and I have the coal nearby. So let's see. Pottery is one option. Not really in demand yet. It is, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first things that's going to be in demand. Not yet. Not in a long time. Apple's clothing. Clothing, because I'm already having materials. $42. Apples, then clothing. Yep. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Restarts. Really smart. Okay, that one's solved. Next. Because this one isn't allowed to pick up any of the dry goods. That one's doing fine. That one too. That one is doing fine. And solved. That one is off to Milano, okay? And that one is off to Torino. I need to get 4 million, so hang on. But Torino is not that direction. That's that direction. So let's follow him instead. And the reason I'm aiming for the 20 million is simply because I want to have a buffer. I want to be sure that at some point the AI won't be able to outbid me in any auctions, like Madam Ward has been doing for quite some time now. So at least 20 million. Then I can start setting up the supply lines again. once I got the supply mines going, things will be a lot better. I hope. Of course, at this rate, 20 million won't take that long. And being above would be better. So maybe I should aim at 25 instead. 25 million in cash, that leaves me 5 million to build, if I need it, tracks, stations, setting up routes, and see how things are going. I think that's a better idea. Now, since the previous recording, some things have changed. The new DLC has been released, and one of the things it does is changing how warehouses work. So it's one of the things I should look at some point anyway, because what we can do is reset warehouses to work in a similar way as we used to have the warehouses in Railway Empire 1. So I think they also did something else. So instead of having a warehouse like we currently have and goods being designated to a city the moment um, it leaves the part where it's produced, being it an industry or a rural industry, doesn't matter. The moment, like vegetables, the moment vegetables leave the station near that farm where they were being produced, they were designated to a city. So vegetables picked up in a farm, brought to a warehouse, but eventually they are needed in Torino. The moment they left the station or they are on the train to the warehouse, they were already labeled for Torino. If for whatever reason the train to Torino didn't pick them up in time, they would just stay there until that train finally arrives. If in the meantime another train kept bringing in vegetables, they were all designated for Torino, staying there until being picked up. But by then, the amount of vegetables for Torino could be 7, 8 trips. So it just keeps building up. And that means the vegetables for Milano wouldn't be picked up because there's always that demand for Torino. From what I understand now, we can manually set things. So instead of having a designation, we store stuff like a warehouse, like a real warehouse, not like a distribution center, like a real warehouse. So I have a train going from the vegetable farm to the warehouse, picking up vegetables until the warehouse is full. That's it. Meanwhile, I have trains for Milan and Torino visiting that warehouse every once in a while to pick up the vegetables and deliver them to their cities. At that point, the warehouse isn't full and the train starts picking up veggies at the farm again and bring that to the warehouse until the warehouse is full. And personally, I think that system might work better. We'll see how things are going, but I think it's working better because you don't build up a complete full warehouse with items designated for one city. No, you simply build it up. And anybody needing that item can actually take it. So we're going to see how things work out. I'm using not that many warehouses in this game. Eventually I will have to check. And I may set everything to manual. See how that's going. Well, the 20 million is coming up quite fast. So one of the spots where I do have a warehouse is um, Pressburg, I think it was. So once we hit the 20 million, let's have a look over there. I may keep the train running at that point, but it's something I can check. Another change done to the game is you can actually start building up rural industries. For that, you need to deliver certain goods to do that. So it's a little bit similar like the building city things. There's 20 million. Like I said, it's going fast. Um, you can build up rural industry, so kind of like building cities. And the advantage is, of course, that at that point you will also be able to own that industry right away. So with that in mind, things are becoming easier. And I'm so pleased to see that the switching system I have set up over here is working. I don't know if I'm able to have the option to build up industries on rural industries on this map, or option number two, which is also possible, we can do a crop switch. Like I have a grain farm in an area where there are already many grain farms, and I'm lacking cheese. So what I can do is once again invest time, funding, goods probably, select the option to the grain farm to switch to a cattle farm producing milk, or from a grain farm to corn. I don't know which possible switches there are there. But with that, I can actually control the production of certain areas a little bit more. Let's find out. We got a nice Discord here. So, question: does anyone know if there's a list of rural industries we can? No, that's not right. So let's see what the answers will be. I think we're already entering Milano. I asked, does anyone know if there's a list of which rural industries can switch to other industries? And if so, which switches to what? Pretty obvious, I think. $21 million. Also, research is done. I can do the condensation tender. So nice. Because that means 5% decrease in consumption. Basically meaning my sand, water and oil levels are 105% from now on. This is also nice. So, let me think. Warehouse. Not Salzburg, Pressburg, Hulbova was having a warehouse. Automatic distribution off. So I can simply set it, I don't know what the maximum is actually. I think 100. Yeah. But we have 6 goods. So if the maximum storage is 100, that means I can do 15 of each. So let's give that a try. Fifteen is 2 trains. And some things are more in demand than others. 40, 50, 60, 70, 84, 98. Let's see what happens. Only for Budapest. The thing is, I was having a supply train here. Off to Brunn, purpose. Okay, getting furniture most likely. And that one, off to bring in. No more designation here. Fully loaded up, no more designation. Which is nice, because that's exactly what I wanted. It will simply drop off the goods in the warehouse now. So let's see how things turn out now before we start concentrating at La Riviera. So I was actually planning to go to France and we're currently into Austria. Well, Hungary actually, but it's at the point we had the Austrian-Hungarian empires, so So like I said, I'm not sure if that switch system is available on this map because it was started before the DLC, and I did ask a while ago if anything from the DLC was going to be implied at the pre-DLC games, and it was said no. I'm not sure. Um, Post office. Ah, he wants to say something. So, hey, page not found? What the heck? Well, maybe they got it on Steam too. I know they have it over there. Alternative warehouse mode. Yeah, we know that. Oh, okay. One thing I just see, I can store more than 100 on in total. It's 100 per good. So anything that's being moved to, we're almost there. Anything that's been moved to the manual system, like I just did, all goods will remain there. The moment I switch back to automatic, all goods will be lost. So I'm curious why I wasn't able to the hotfix earlier today. Oh, 1.7. So what they did, not just the warehouse, difficulty setting a high behavior in custom games is added. Minor improvement for the AI in custom games can now be enabled. New difficulty setting connection bonus. If you set it off, you won't get a connection bonus. So basically, the connection bonus on is what we had default on this map. Pause auctions to option. When set to on, auction timer will pause when the game is paused and the player is not the highest bidder in the current action. So that gives you time to react. Then you can play option disable small breakdowns. This is nice because it gives me that little bit of information we basically a lot of players knew for whatever reason, but we never had a confirmation. Small breakdowns can occur for engines with a maintenance limit between 90 and 50%. Now, everybody who've been watching my videos know that each and every time when I build a maintenance station or a maintenance post or a depot, I always make sure that the maintenance limit is set at 90%. The reason was that people said, hey, when you set it at 90%, it will do short repairs instead of setting it at 60, which was the default, and then having one long repair. Currently, what we currently learn is that by doing so, we also reduce the chance for small breakdowns. Never knew that, but we know now. So something that a lot of players did by instinct to reduce the maintenance time by getting 15 smaller instead of one large had this nice side effect that you also prevent small breakdowns. Now, this option to disable it means that if you disable small breakdowns, engines will never break down when above 50% maintenance limit. Default section for me means on. Graphic option moving sun. When enabled, the sun always keeps the same angle in relation to the camera to ensure consistent scene lighting. So apparently, no matter how my train turns, the sun is always straight ahead of me. Let's see if it actually does. Locked regions are now always visible in track construction. I haven't tested that yet, but we will that in a bit because I'm currently at 28 million, 7 million. Edit new goods icons to task text next to the spelled out name of the good to increase clarity. So if it says that I need to transport 198 vegetables to whatever city, the task will also have the symbol for vegetables. Okay, turn coming up. Let's see what the sun's doing. At first it doesn't turn, but it looks like it's slowly turning back. Not sure if I'm happy with that, because it makes me a little bit nauseous. But then, goods that are on the way to a vulnerable rural business are now communicated by tooltip, accessible via the corresponding interface similar to the tooltip accessible via the stock and demand overview for existing cities. I haven't tried that, so I have no idea. And then there's a load of bug fixes. Fix issue with specific order of commands allowed speed in ride-along cameras to be higher than 1 times. So this is basically 1 time speed. Nothing else I can do about it. Fixed an issue where people at stages were not always visible when using the ride-along camera. Well, basically, I don't mind if a station was a little bit empty looking. I mean, a rural station with all the passengers looks a little bit odd. Fixed an issue that caused reduced FPS when changing a selected train to manual loading. Well, I never did that. Fixed an issue where a wrong button was displayed, suggesting a set maintenance limit option being available at buildings unrelated to maintenance. Some things, yeah, I've never encountered that either. Then a localization issue, Rice wasn't correctly translated Spanish Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Issue where map decorations like boulders, ruins, small buildings would not vanish if the player laid the track next to them. Trains now no longer clip through them. It's something we had at the beginning of the series that I was riding along and all of a sudden we were seeing a lantern hanging mid-air. So that's fixed. Let's see, fix an issue where, when editing rail lines, if too many goods were available in a city, they did not fit in the available space anymore. They will now slowly pan back and forth so that all goods can be seen. I don't know what's actually meant, but we'll see. Fix an issue where rural businesses' visible working areas were not adjusted based on business size anymore. Larger businesses now have more attached working areas. Again, example, fields or clay pits. So a very busy clay farm has 20 fields instead of 2. That's what I meant. And last bug fix, an issue where the train braking sound effects were looped when pausing during playback. If they are talking about the cacophony of whistle and horns blowing, I don't think that's actually solved. Although it does feel like it's less as what it used to be. Then we had some controller fixes and DLC specific changes. For all DLCs, region-specific fitting goods are now impacted by refrigerated cars. That's something I noticed at my India test map, that several goods are now produced, transported in the refrigerated cars. Well, I do remember that they weren't before. All DLCs, regional specific bridges are now applied to all DLC maps accordingly. Okay. So we got Swiss bridges on the Swiss map. Good to know. And for high voltage, fixed a rare issue where extra overhead lines were spawned parallel to the tracks. So not everything I would like to know is explained, but This one's being unloaded. At least I can set everything to 99. Quite nice. So we're going to store 594 goods here. Two for Budapest, two for Zelina, two for Breslau, and one for Salzburg. Yep. So that works. Um, Milan, go, go, supply. One is off to Milan, is off to Gary Rest. That's going to pick up the corn. And that one just came back from that area. Okay, but we only have the normal ones. Booze refrigerator. So we see in, I hope people can see it actually, in dark blue, the goods. And I will read it out loud so it's actually very clear. The light blue text are just 5 things. So it says the refrigerated car is carried on all trains and increases freight revenues for milk, meat, vegetables, fruits, and dairy products by 25%. I think the dark text should change, but meat. That's beer, meat. What am I doing? Yeah, the squeaking is my mouse button. This is going to take way too long. So that one is still happening. Meet Marseille. What was my plan? Cargo tracks to the north, to the north. To the outside here. Right. I'm going to do it the other way around. Railway. Later we will going north from here. that one to Lyon. No. I can actually build this one like that and use it to go to Montpellier. It's a shame they don't have fish in this game, because that would be the excellent product for Marseille. Height lines off. Yeah, this is going to be a hurt in the butt. That'll work. Can't get that out because of the height difference here. Hey. Ah, yeah. No. What the bloody... Okay, so I start working from the other side. No problemo. Well, not a big one anyway. Hey. Ah, bugger. Double bugger. Because I built that station at the wrong side. Aye, aye. Let's try again. Something changed on the city limits here. I'm having an off day today, people. 1, 2, 3. I'm really having my off day today. Surprised this is actually possible. Right side of the track. At least having a pair of switches is making life a lot easier. Especially when it means you don't have to think. Yeah, I was afraid of that. It's probably the curve. Not a very big problem because I can still use the other side for track switching. And maybe it actually helps with trains passing through because they only have one lane into each direction now. One track. So unlike here, they won't move over 4 tracks. Choose which one to use. And simply use the one available, which is one track in one direction and one track in the other direction. It's that simple. They used to say in one of the old commercials. This may... no, good. I was afraid that it may cause problems. It doesn't. In this case, might as well do this. Because having it on the inside instead of the outside leaves 4 tracks available for further expansion. That also means that the cargo trains won't spoil our beautiful view along the Alps. The only problem, I need to go over or under. Wondering, this is something I can deal with. Once more from the start. Yeah, once more from the start won't work. Because I need to do something else first, which is adding the other track. And the reason I'm ending up at opposite sides. Now that's done. Time to fix this. Starting with him. I love it when tracks aren't doing what they need to do. Okay, let's give it another try like that. You are turning that way. And you are going that way. And you're making me wonder, why won't you go up? Come on, can't be that hard. 10%. Well, if it works, it works. The only thing it doesn't do is giving me the opportunity to use a 4-track gridiron. Okay, so it doesn't work. At least the last part doesn't. That's actually easy to solve. Because I already know where it should end up. Of course, at that point, the game is like, yeah, mate, screw you. Okay, let's see who screws who. Okay, it's indeed doing, yeah, mate, screw you. I'm not going to bother for too long with this. There's another option I can take. Not that option. Okay, never mind then. I sometimes wonder if I'm simply wanting to do things too complicated, making them too beautiful. Or at least trying to. Like, this works. Okay, it's 35 kilometers an hour, and that's not what I want. But if it works, it works. At least I'm able to transport cargo all the way from Galley Rest to Marseille. Not there yet, because we have the other disaster to work with. No changes. From to, from to. the last part. Dun, dun. So I only need him for Nice. Yep. I was so afraid of this. Because of this. Um, what the heck? Going to drop a 4-track gridiron here. Which I was about to say, which will be possible because of that tunnel. I'm lucky. And I'm doing that to make it easier to get on this. Well, now, still that dang tunnel. No way to avoid it. And it happened again. I think I found a bug. Not related to lagging, but really to the building, track building. I'm going to do something else first. To not Tunis, Tunis number 2. Back to Marseille. Can't send it to the Rosa. So keep it, yep, like this for the time being. It's going to be a short one. Am I able to change the name of the... No, not from here. Oui. My French is too rusty. My French is really too rusty. Gare de Vrij. Okay. So that case, I turn the other one in. And that also means Gare de Nice. No, not the Uru. Marseille, La Croix. Marseille, Nice. Marseille, Milano, Marseille. Does it need to load the meat? Because we got another one for that. Eventually, it will get its stuff from more nearby stations. Why would it enter Trent? Because it's visiting Guy Denise instead of Guy de Vrij Denise. Done. Hang on. Blocks, clothing, beer, yep. Meat by itself. This is why I'm using the 4-track. Because it should be able to do this without having to switch to another station. Okay. Hey, why the heck didn't it build this? I know why. Naughty. Naughty game. You can't start or finish railroad tracks within city borders. And that tunnel we have here, that little tiny tunnel piece, is within city borders. And it was messing things up. If I look at it now, everything is working as intended. So last one, second Milan. Um, so purpose is this. Okay, the Rosa. Milano. Esposito. Milano. Am I able to get to milk? Yeah, up here, but that's way too. No, I am able to get meat. Milano, and that's it. 8 million left, and already an hour and a half. Getting a connection bonus here. 922? Yeah, of course. Headlines. But it mentioned something. Ah, this is what's meant when putting down text. This is what meant about the borders. That's what I can't enter. I can enter this one. Right. Yep, that's making things easier. Better looking. So I have milk up here in the north, but no real reason to go there yet. Unless I take the Rhone Valley, going north for the milk, then turn, pass through here to Marseille because I want to go down to Perpignan anyway. I can do that. Still 68, okay. The game is becoming very laggy. How long? 17 days, okay, there's no problem. Let's ride along. So we're going from Lambert Terminal to Marseille, bringing cows, which is used in Boeuf Bourguignon, to the city where they make bouillabaisse. Makes sense. Yeah, this is going to be fun. If I put the passenger train through here, that's going to be fun. Maybe I should have lifted the tracks a little bit. But that may have caused other problems. There's also another train over there. That the one from Nice? Probably, because that's the closest. Ah, no, it's supply number 1. And we have a minor issue here. I'm really going to need a new system. If things keep going like this. Once as we get comments, it means we need 300 points in 1845, so 10 months from now. So that's May minus 2 March 1846 to get all research done. After that, it's saving up. very desolate landscape, but seeing the map in front of us is nice, especially considering I am getting to the same cities in another game. Except that's 500 years before now. That is 500 years before this game. You'll see that on Wednesday. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to ride along on this track. I mean, we did that with the passenger trains already. And I also realized that sun always being in the same direction probably won't apply to this game because it's started before the changes. I'm not going to start a new playthrough yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to start after this one, but I'm not going to start a new playthrough after this playthrough. So, passenger trains, which will become larger now I'm starting to supply the cities with goods. Grain. So this part works fine. That's the nice part of riding along with trains. And one of the reasons I'm doing it. The other one is enjoying the view. But one of the reasons I'm riding along on trains simply to check if everything is working fine. Let's see. Loading up and going back. Well, it's going to go back and forth, so not sure if I'm actually going to follow all that. I think what would be more fun is to scare somebody before my 10 minutes are past. How's she doing? 2.3. No, I won't, because that means I have to redo everything over there. No, what I'm going to do, even with her, not taking shares, but doing what I already said. We're going to the milk station. From the milk, we're going on to that sugar plantation over there. So is this going to look weird? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, there's no other way right now because in my one of my earlier games I was coming in from the north and going east and west. But as you can see, somebody took that route away from me. So it's time to make her nervous now by adding one more step to lock her in. That's what I meant. And for some reason, everything went wrong on this station. So let's see how to deal with this. So her station would have been enough. Well, lady, picked the wrong duchy to fight with. Something you only found out when it's too late. That's the maximum point. Should have done the other tracks first. Oh, never mind. Now to fix the shit I made here. Won't be too hard actually. Three. And done. The nice part, well, I'm not going to scroll through all my trains, trains again. The nice part is that we have this one, who was actually only doing something between Marseille and Nice, which is now able to go over to Couture, or at least it should, but it can't. Something is not right here. able. Ah, I know why. I know. Not funny. I forgot about that. Very expensive tunnel this way. Oh yeah. That way. Really. Now, here we go again. And this time we can edit. Couture back to Marseille. Confirm. Got a maintenance depot. Didn't have a maintenance depot. Okay. And the 50 minutes are up. Well, actually, there's already more up. It would have been, in my opinion, more beautiful if I had been able to come in from the north, which I was hoping Lyon, Sugar Farm, Couture, then Lambert, Marseille, having my stations in a similar way and split off along the coast to Montpellier because of the height lines for once. Unfortunately, not possible, but I can go here, pick up that sugar, Montpellier, go south into Perpignan, and from that point on, Aragon and Catalonia. Catalonia. So Perpignan, the farm, Barcelona, this part of to Zaragoza, and I will most likely go southbound like that along the clay, sugar, Burgos, Leon, grain, corn to Salamanca, then the sugar again because this is Salamanca itself, and from here salty Mendoza range, Porto, following those two. And the big question I will have is, should I go this way or that way? Eventually I have to end up in Coruña. This way is easier. This way makes it better for my resources to get there. So Coruña, then along the coast, Oviedo, Atlantic to Bilbao, well, only Bilbao, Bayonne, and from that point on head north to Bordeaux and see how if I'm able to end up in La Rochelle or if I ignore Bergère and head more or less that way what to start buying things up. Something like that. That's the plan. But there's one other disadvantage. My system is really having problems with how things are going right now. So I'll see how things end up. Anyway, for today, thanks for watching, and I do hope people liked it. I did. I hope my voice is able to recover from all this. You'll find out next week. I hope to see you next week, though. Have a good week, everybody, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.